Hmm. Hey everybody, this is Al with El Ray Collection. Hope you're doing great. It is a dreary Saturday, which makes it a great time to jump online, open some packages, talk to some people about SOCO. Normally, when I do a national review, I do it in a video format. I figured that since there's a lot kind of going on in the market, there seems to be a lot of questions, people inbound, especially people who didn't go to SOCO. I figured I could field some of those live. We already did it as a group, myself, Bill, Scott, Champ, Matt. So if you are interested in that discussion as well, make sure you check out Bill Collect Football's channel. So we did some of that, but I figured, you know what, there's a lot of people that may not see that state of the market, and I'd be here and I can answer questions, comment on things while I open the mail. I mean, why not? I got to open the mail anyway, right, guys? This mail's been sitting here for a long time. I've been super busy. Got a little sick right before the National as well. Haven't been able to do a lot of work. It was great to see you, Ed, there at the National. That's great. It's awesome that it's fabulous in New York. Here it is a little dreary and kind of wet from time to time. So that's not super fun. But at least it's not hot and sticky like we sometimes get down here in South Carolina. So it's 1 o'clock, still on the coffee. You know, cut me a break. It's Saturday. So I will get in, break some stuff. Nothing super exciting here, but also want to just be available to answer questions from people. See what's kind of out there in the world. It's kind of a crazy time in many markets, with many markets hitting new highs, and I'd say that in general a lot of soccer cards are following that trend, as well as many different asset classes are. So without further ado here, I'll start breaking into some packages, and if questions come up, I'll answer those as we go. Oh yes, dang, Ed gave me this great hat, and this wasn't here by my desk, so it's actually up in my my bag. So sorry that I'm not donning that. I promise that you will see that awesome hat on a next video, or at least one of the next videos. Hey, the hat has a couple of my cards on it, so you got to wear it. And thanks again to Ed for putting those together for premium members that were at the dinner that we had for the Discord. And by the way, if you're not a member of the Discord, I'll put the link below. Please join it. You can learn lots of stuff about vintage soccer cards, and also pre-modern and modern and cricket and F1 and lots of other stuff. And Jose Roberto Dines, great to hear from you. There's a few packages in here from Brazil, so you'll be happy with that. So hopefully you'll see some of those and be reminded of some of the great items that come from your wonderful country. So here we go. I will just start opening this stuff, and if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, we can, I can tackle them as I open these boxes. So here we go. This looks like a PSA box, actually, which is interesting, coming from overseas. Don't typically see those. You can usually tell the PSA boxes because they fold up on these lines. So let's just cut into this one and see what we got. A lot of this stuff has been here for a couple months. I've just been so busy with work that it's just hard. So let's see. Yep, I was right. It was a PSA box. So let's see what we got. A couple cards in here. They don't feel like graded cards though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are graded cards. Yeah. No graded cards. Exactly. Reduce, reuse, recycle. This is exactly how PSA packages the card. So if this was up, they have these green stickers, say cards inside, nice painter's tape along the side. Great international packaging. It must be a seller with some significant international experience. And I am struggling here to find the tape entry point. Here we go. Let's take a look. There we go. Painter's tape is great because it doesn't really stick. You can just take it off, doesn't leave residue. So if you're ever looking for packaging ideas, painter's tape is the best choice if you need to use tape. Also, rubber bands are quite effective when trying to get that same effect. And let me open some of these. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah, so this is kind of a group. These aren't the most attractive cards, if we're honest, but these are cards from the late 40s and early 50s. There's a bunch of different versions of these. These come from Argentina, and they have like Cine. This one I think is called Cine. They have Titan, Colegiales. They all have this one. You can faintly see at the top. This Titan. It's actually cut right here at the top. That's Titan, Colegiales. There's one more. Why am I drawing a blank? Anyway, so here is this is Roberto Cerro, fantastic Boca star. This one is Felix Lostau, really kind of nice. This Gran Película, the ones here, very fun. You can see the super light. Maybe you can't. It says Gran and then Película right there. So that's kind of fun. Here's a Lostau, and this is a different. They use the same picture, but the albums look the same. I mean, these are just terrible quality, but they're somewhat endearing. Let's see if I can show you these two Lostaus. Sorry. See, they use the same picture. This one will say Gran Película on it. And then this one under here says Colegiales with some paper loss on the back. Almost all of these that I grade with PSA. PSA does grade these. They grade all versions. And they're almost all authentic because there's such size variances in these. So I don't think anybody was out there trimming these, but they are, just all different sizes. So most of them are authentic. And so here's a Ferrara. Here is a J.M. Moreno. Here is a Carlos Sosa. This one has a much nicer, clearer back. Colegiales. You can see Arsenio Rico and Angel Labruna. So these are nice, fun little cards, Argentine cards. And we will look to get those things slabbed in time. Not sure. I mean, maybe the $20. It seems like this is going to be the new normal at PSA. Maybe the $20 thing is the one that makes sense. I'm not sure. So let's see how that goes. And then, so I think if those of you who didn't see Scott and Bill's thing, SOCO. Oops, I'm opening the wrong side. Well, I guess they'll come out one way or another. So the national, as you guys have probably seen online, was crazy. I didn't even get to the national today, or during the time that we were there. It was just so crazy. The line was so long. My family decided to go, so I didn't even go. But I heard from a lot of people it's hard to breathe in there at some points. These are not tag things, but this is a cool box that tag sends along. Probably higher quality than the PSA box, but of course they have lower volumes. So I did not make it to the national, but went to SOCO every night. Had a table there, as many of you may have seen online, with Bill and Scott next to Champ and Seb. and Matt, and that was fantastic, super fun. And so, SOCO itself was, a much bigger show this year than it was last year, kind of spread out. There was lots of things going on, like soccer tournaments, raffles, all sorts of stuff. And there was probably the extent of vintage and pre-modern. There was a few tables that had a few cards, not that many, honestly. So we'd probably be six, 7 tables. A few international sellers had some vintage and stuff. So we had, it was smallish for most of the stuff that we collect, but last year we were the only one, so that's good. So that's an increase in growth. There was, a lot of interest, but I actually felt like the traffic was more at Cleveland, and it may be because the site was smaller, or it may be, or just people didn't make it all the way over to our area because it was bigger, so people were dispersed and they couldn't do the whole show. Interesting. I had never seen kind of a tag submission kit, but this is an interesting process where they say, hey, just take a picture of your card, scan the QR code, send them in. Interesting. Never done tag grading, but interesting. They have the tutorial right here, trying to get people up. Not a bad idea. Again, high quality box. These are not tag graded items, by the way. So in the end, I think I would say that the headline numbers of this is a stack of slabs. The headline numbers in terms of the number of people that were supposedly at the site were like a little less than 15,000, I think 13,000. And last year there was a little less than 4,000. So a massive increase in interest. Didn't feel that, not even close. In fact, if you were to ask me without having those numbers, I would have probably said a decrease. And I probably would have put the decrease due to the distance from the national to the SOCO event. And I think that is a big impediment for SOCO. I think people don't want to take a 20-minute Uber ride, spend 20 to 30 minutes one direction, then the other direction, even for what is really kind of an interesting free show. So my number one recommendation would be to keep SOCO as close to the national as possible, and preferably walking distance. Here is a great, this whole thing is basically Dutch stars. So this is an awesome run here. This will be fun. So this doesn't include the 79 81, but here's a 6. This is a really tough sticker. People just really don't appreciate how tough this one is. And then you got the 81 82, and this is in PSA 8. So a couple of these were dupes, but these are just hard. And this is the 82 83 version, and then the 83 84 version, and these are all 8s. Oh no, this one's a 7. Sorry, these other ones were 8s, right? Yep, 8 and 8 and 8. So these are hard. At least to get in 8s. A lot of interest at the show in MVB. Van Basten was I think I sold my rookie card of his that I had like nearly immediately, and I got probably 5 to 7 asks at the show. So lots of interest on that. Speaking of the devil, here's a nice, this is later career, but still kind of fun to have the Vobal series. All of these, coming from Holland, which is fun. Of course, most well known for the Euro. Not a very valuable card, but a fun one because of his. I have a really interesting item coming from an MVB ticket from the final where he does that volley. That's awesome. And it's signed. Here's a 92. Could not repeat the success in 88, but still a great sticker. This is the football 88. Again, these aren't high grades, but these are just fun. I collect MVB, pretty well. And this is the, what is this? 86, 87? Is that right? Yeah, they call it 87 in SGC, but it's actually 86, 87. So again, these aren't by any stretch super valuable. And here is the 85. So this is 84, 85. That's kind of fun. That's in a lower grade though, right? Like a 5. So we got that one. And then here is 92, 93. So there's that one. Again, not a crazy important sticker. And here's 91, 92 in the Calciatori set. So that's fun. And then we've got this one, which is also 90, 91. 6. This is a cracked slab. That's not good. That's not fun. But and these slabs are actually kind of beat up in general, which is a bit of a bummer. I usually try to take extra care of my slabs. This is 89, 90. So you can kind of get the run in here. It's fun. This is 88, 89 MVB. And you've got the 87, 88 Panini Calciatori as well in a 6-5. So these are generally what 4s to 7s. And here is the World Cup sticker. Gosh, I hate when these things move around. Anyway, you can see it's a little crooked, and that's in an 8, which is a pretty high grade for the sticker. I just don't like when they're crooked. Anyway, we'll look at that later. So I don't know. That was kind of my general feeling on it. I feel like it was great. It was so great to see people from your tribe. If you're interested in vintage soccer and you have a lot of friends that are like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why collect all these old guys that nobody's heard about? That can get kind of lonely, right? And I think connecting with people who have similar interests, who see things and understand them for the rarities that they are and the specialness to us is kind of, one of the big things, that sense of community of belonging to a collecting niche is really kind of what it's about. So, that's if I think it's great to have the experience, and I think it's great, hopefully it'll continue to grow over time. Somebody was just mentioning on the Discord a very interesting comment that said, listen, the pops are so low in this area, who would be selling this stuff? And I think the reality is, I wouldn't be selling it if anything that I had wasn't a dupe. And I think that most of the people there, that's what they were selling. They're dupes. So, and it's hard because you're right. The pops are so low that sometimes it's really hard it's definitely hard to count on people having many dupes of certain cards. And the other comment that I'd say is there was a ton of interest in, rookie cards. I mentioned earlier, I sold the MVB rookie card. I sold 2 or 3 Cruyff rookies. I sold or traded 3 Maradona rookies. So out of the items that were there, which I guess shouldn't be a surprise in most sports, heavily skewed towards rookies and or first issues, with second place going to very kind of rare items. I think that a lot of the items that I sold were near rookies or very rare cards, and the dollar amount, the average transaction, may have been close to $1,000 or something per card, which means that a lot of the good stuff, rare stuff, is the stuff that was selling. I would, the lower end, and I'll put that in quotes because it doesn't mean it's less desirable. It's just more common, or maybe not the highest grade, or not early in the player's career. I think we're so the sub 200 type stuff, we're going for just a lot less movement in that segment. So it was certainly a bit eye-opening, a little bit. I kind of expected at a card show there to be more of that lower end stuff, but that's not lower end movement, because people have a budget, they're there with a few $100s, but the amount of $1,000 card plus that I saw move was surprising. I also saw, I mean, the market, especially the Messi market, has been really crazy here the last month or so. So that also is something that, you know, almost everyone that would come up to my table, or like my son who was there, mentioned. I'll show you these types of cards, like that. These, so many people were interested in, like, hey, what's your Ronaldo, you know, rookie? They'd want to see that, or they may want to see, you know, some of the Messi rookies. This is an Este sticker. Here's the BGS 9 Ronaldo rookie. Those people wanted to see those. Like 80% of the time, people would come to the table, even though I'm mostly vintage. I have a few of those cards, and everybody was very interested in that. So that was another kind of learning from SOCO, and you did, that's just happening in the market as in general, so it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. But if you haven't been following like the Messi 7-1 bis, check what it's done the last 2 months, and it seems like every new sale is a bigger sale than the one before. Now this is kind of a fun little set. It's I guess I was going to say controversial. I mean, controversial isn't really what it is, but it's there's a narrative behind it, and some may like it, some may not. And you know what? I don't really care what camp, you know, you're in. I think you gotta appreciate it kind of for what it is. So in 1965 in Brazil, there was a game, and it had like little kind of magnets, like a soccer game. And inside these, not necessarily magnets, but these plastic cases were pictures of various athletes. So here you had a Pele, which is kind of fun. It's a big head with a small body, kind of caricature, real head. And here is a Rivellino. So these, while they're not really kind of cards in the traditional sense, are, you know, certainly why this matters is this would be Rivellino's rookie if you want to look at it like that. Given that it's part of a game, I'm a little less inclined to view this as a rookie, but I still wanted to have it in my collection. Kind of really nice image and very, you know, unique. So I really like these. And this is the Pele from the same game. So those are kind of fun. Add those on. So there's that one, and let's see what we got in here. So that's kind of like at 35,000 feet, some of my thoughts. Didn't love the location. The internet, despite, you know, it was just rough. Thank goodness we had comped most of our cards that we could ahead of time. So that was it. Again, didn't get to the actual floor of the National, and don't think that I would have enjoyed it that much based on what I heard. I almost never find anything to buy there. It's mostly about meeting people anyway, maybe dropping off some stuff at PSA or seeing some things that are going for auction, which most of the auction companies bring stuff from their auction. So was not able to fully do that. But, you know, regardless, I had a great time hanging out with the boys at SOCO, and that's really, to me, what the, you know, hobby is about. And my perspective is super strong. Messi CR7, super strong. Just market in general, certainly on the modern side, some of the prices on these Lamine malls, and some of the, you know, gold prisms and kind of elite autos, like whether they're flawless, you know, soul of the game. I mean, these types of items are just really, really going crazy in this market. But then again, like virtually, like I mentioned at the start, most of the asset classes are doing really well. Right? Stocks at an all-time high. Valuations also at an all-time high. Crypto, whatever Bitcoin is, 116. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on out there with some just really strong asset prices. That's all I'll say. And here we have not anything super sexy, but these are kind of fun. I always like these stickers. Not exactly sure why. Maybe it's because it's kind of the old school rainbow effect. So I'll get into some of these. And is this my last package? This may be my last package. So if you guys have any questions, comments, you could dump them in the comments. I can kind of get to those because I'll be finishing up at least my mail opening and don't have a lot more to say about SOCO. I just hope that it continues to grow and that works out for all of soccer collectors. So these are the 1963 Cividae, and this is got Pele on it. Really cool. I love the image on these, and these have got some really solid backs. So I'll definitely, and they come in different colors, as you can see. This is the dark blue. Here is the light blue. And here is the green. So I had a few of these. They were kind of MC miscut. And so I just thought these had really nice backs and well-centered fronts. And so these could replace mine. So if you were looking for these, I'll probably have my dupes at the next SOCO that I attend, because I think all these will probably substitute the ones that I had in my collection that were a little bit cut differently. Regardless, love this sticker. Love this kind of original rainbow, is what they call it. The modern guys call it the original rainbow. Love these original rainbows that have, in the Brazilian stickers seem to do that more than other countries. Have like a purple, a green, a yellow. And I think it's personally really fun. So they were kind of the originators of the rainbow in my mind. A few other places have them, variations. Argentina has ones. A couple that come to mind right now are the Fangio ones, which are very, very fun, like the 1951s, 1949s as well. Bicicleta has a yellow and a blue. So anyway, those are really fun, but I think the Brazilians really just did much more of it. I'm not even sure the Argentine ones were intentional. It feels like the Brazilian ones were definitely intentional, because sometimes they put, the yellow version, the green version, they'll actually put that on the card. So it was absolutely intentional for Brazil. And I think they are the original pioneers of the rainbow. So hopefully that little fact, helps your collecting. So I personally love it. So not sure. That was all that I had from the mail that was sitting around. But, I did want to jump on and see if there were any comments here that I could, talk a little bit about and have some interaction. So I'll give you guys a minute. But in the meantime, if you wanted to type something, can you please like the video and subscribe if you're not subscribed? Helps the algorithm, helps the hobby, frankly, get more visibility for vintage soccer. And then we'll also have the Discord link below, as well as what else was I going to put in there? Oh, a link to Bill's channel where we discussed kind of more in a broader group SOCO and the national as well, which may be helpful for those that are interested in it. So let me jump over here to the comments and see if we had any. And I do not see anything. So anyway, I guess if that's crystal clear, I am better than I thought. So hope everybody kind of enjoyed this little review, little walkthrough through SOCO. Oh, here we go. We got Scott. So Scott, who was there next to me the whole time. So it was great. Yep, that's really what it is. It's really about hanging out with people, talking a little bit of cards, but just hanging out, enjoying one another, sharing the passion. My family, as Scott mentioned here, was able to make the trip. So he's able to meet my son and my wife. Daughter did not make it this time, had a little Uber mix up, not enough space, so she didn't make it this time. So maybe next time you guys will meet Grace. But yeah, so and Scott is agreeing with me about the distance being too far. Couldn't agree more. So, I think that's going to be a big impediment to growth, and I am looking forward to getting it closer to the national and just having that center of gravity kind of pull people in. Here, you needed to go to SOCO. You needed to know what was happening, which I don't think everybody was. Everybody did, right? By a long shot, maybe a small fraction of national pupils. And then you had to go out of your way, spend money, time, effort in a city that's, relatively hard to navigate if you're not from there. And the Ubers can be expensive. So, I think those things line up. And it's like, man, it would be way better in a walkable, ballroom for an adjacent hotel. And I think people would be willing to pay because guess what? They're going to save $30 on their Ubers. So, you charge them $10, it's a deal for them. You get way more, way more, way more people. That said, I think, Scott, who did, a great job and put a ton of effort into SOCO, which is amazing. I think he's signed up at this current place for the next year or two that the national is um, in Chicago. But hey, look at 2 years ago, SOCO didn't exist, so this is a great thing for soccer and soccer collectors. So we should be happy with that, and we should be building off it. And really, my personal preference would be to focus really just kind of on the show and the collecting, and kind of do away with some of these other things that are trying to get people in. I think just having a soccer show is enough to get people interested and to go, especially if it's close. I don't know if we need all the bells and whistles and tournaments, which probably create a lot more planning complexities and all of the, the raffles and stuff like that. The national doesn't do any of that. And they charge a high price to get in. And I don't really think we need to do a lot of that. Again, Scott's the decision maker. He puts in the sweat equity. So ultimately, he'll make the calls on these things. But I think just the soccer show by itself is enough to get people to go. And I think people are willing to pay to go into a show where they didn't have to spend 30, $40 on Ubers to get back and forth to a free show. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. Absolutely fantastic to meet so many great people. I'm sure I'll, miss a ton of people, but obviously we mentioned Dave. I mean, I mentioned Bill and Scott and Chad, Bill's friend, and Champ and Matt Hendler, showed up. Dave from Zico, Adam, Pelkey. I mean, so many, just great, people, came by. I'm missing probably 15, 20, just amazing people. But that's really kind of what it's about: showing cards, sharing passion, and connecting with the community and tribe. And for that, SOCO scores 100 out of 100. Just amazing and awesome. We also were able to have a premium dinner the day before. Fortunately, I got sick, so missed that. But that was amazing as well, from what I heard from everyone else. So, if you're out there in the internet and you're looking for a home for this crazy hobby that we have, make sure you join the Discord, and you can find your tribe. It may not be in person, but every year we try to get together, and we will continue to try to get together as a group and share our passion and love for collecting these items. So hopefully that was helpful and answered some of the questions. I got a number of DMs on Instagram for people who didn't go. We've tried to share some of our thoughts. Hopefully that's helpful. And again, if you want to hear more, including Scott's view and Bill's and Champ and Matt's, it's all on Bill's video. So I'll paste the link of that below. Hope everybody has a wonderful Saturday, and continue to collect. So thanks everybody. Take care, and we'll see you hopefully on the Discord. Thanks. Bye-bye.